Afternoon tea in vlog number 2. This is my messy life. So I'm Dew, and today I'm talking about fake geeks. Those of you who don't know what that is, basically it started becoming an issue when this guy was writing an article about how he thought that a whole bunch of girls that attended comic book conventions and video game conventions were fake geeks. They pretended to like comic books and video games and whatever they were there for to attract the male species. And that was their primary purpose, and they actually didn't know anything about video games, or not enough for them to be considered geeks. So I guess that means that we're going to be talking about what it means to be a geek, and if that's an accurate descriptor you can put on anybody. I guess this is important to me because, like I said last vlog, I play video games, and I actually read comic books. I have a collection up there. And if you squinted your eyes and tilted your head, you might be able to see that I'm maybe a geek. So, I guess the accusation is that a whole bunch of people are pretending to be nerdy and geeky and like all this geek culture things because geeky is the new chic. It's kind of ridiculous, and it's a rude assumption to make because it undermines people's interests. Like, who cares if they actually like it or not? You're liking this subject for yourself. I can say that I've gotten this a lot because a lot of people, a lot of the time, I guess, don't believe that I like the things that I like, which seems kind of silly because I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody, but they still can't handle the fact that maybe I like Spider-Man. Girl who likes Spider-Man? That's crazy. Cool. Maybe some of my interactions actually go where someone might see me wearing my Star Trek shirt. Trick yourself before you wreck yourself. I've had people come up to me and say, "Oh, hey, I like your shirt, like, what's your favorite series?" And I'm like, I've only actually watched TNG, but I'm planning on watching TOS and the other stuff if it interests me. Oh, well, that's not acceptable because I've watched TNG and Voyager and the original series and Enterprise and all the movies, and that means that I'm a fan of Star Trek, and you can't be a fan of Star Trek because you've only watched one series. I don't really value your interest in Star Trek anymore because you've only watched The Next Generation, and not all of it like I have. What do you gain in accusing me of not liking Star Trek? Like, where's the defining line that makes you a fan and not me? When the series started, were you not a fan until this exact moment? Until you've watched what there has been produced up to today? Because when you started, there was only the original series. There was only the beginning part of what had been produced. I've watched the same amount that you have when it first started, so are you not allowed to just call yourself a fan until the series has been out for 50 years and you've watched everything that it's made? I don't see what your argument is based on. And you can like it more than I can. You've put more effort and time into watching it, and that is fine. I haven't had the time to watch all that shit yet, okay, dude? But I'm still a fan of it. Like, what? I think the person who pursues this interest and continues in the process of involvement can have that as one of their main interests, can have the validity of saying that they like that. Might give you the descriptor of geek. But I also have to kind of play devil's advocate here and say that I kind of understand the frustration of meeting someone who says they're a big fan and they haven't put the same amount of time and effort into this thing that I maybe have. I might meet someone who says, "Oh, I love Lord of the Rings." Okay, like, what's your favorite one? "Oh, I just loved The Two Towers, that movie was so good." And fine, great. I love The Two Towers. I love the movies. They're awesome. But if you say that Tolkien is your favorite thing in the entire world, and then you've only seen one of the movie adaptations of his work, then that's a little bit of a jump. In the case of Lord of the Rings, the book and the movie are so vastly different in their way of telling the same story that it's almost incomparable. Peter Jackson focused more on the emotional side and the personal relationships, where Tolkien focused more on the world structure and the plot line. And that is all fine, but for you to go in and only see it from one perspective and then say you're a fan of the entire thing and it's your favorite, it doesn't really line up for me. When I've spent so much time and effort absorbed in this world that Tolkien created for his fans, when I've read all the books and I've seen all the movies and everything is fantastic and you've just seen one, then I feel kind of ripped off maybe, because all the effort that I put in to this idea, and you can put in a fraction of that and still get to call yourself one of the biggest fans of this. It feels like I'm being undermined. I'm just trying to look at these from both perspectives, because I understand putting all willpower into one thing and then for someone else to come along and say, oh, I love that, and I can have the exact same accreditation that you can, even though I've only spent 10 minutes on it, whereas I've spent like 6 years or whatever. So there's that side to consider too. But not all the accused are saying that it's their favorite thing on the entire planet. They're saying it's something that they enjoy, that they'd like to spend more time involved in, and that is when you should not accuse people, because it's rude to undermine other people's interests, okay? And even if they're doing it for some ulterior motive, even if the female is doing it to attract the male, or even if the male is doing it to attract the female, whatever's happening, it doesn't really affect you, because you don't need the external validation for other people to say, hey, I like that thing that you like, and that means it's something that's alright to enjoy, because other people enjoy it too. Like the product for what it is, because you enjoy it, not because somebody else is having influence in that. Like it for your own motives. Don't be worked up about why other people like it, because isn't it good? Isn't it awesome that other people are enjoying what you enjoy, even if it's to a lesser extent? And stop being so worked up about all the effort that you put in versus the effort that somebody else put in, because they might get there if they continue to enjoy it. And that's where you want to be. You want to have a world with people who share your interests, so there's like basis and you can connect. What I'm trying to say is, stop trying to undermine other people's beliefs because you don't think they're a geek. What is a geek? Just enjoy the things. It doesn't matter if more people like it. I've got a Spider-Man lunch kit as a purse that I put in my Spider-Man backpack when it can't hold everything. I've got a Spider-Man pillow on my bed and 6 Spider-Man shirts in my drawer. Yeah, I splurge on Spider-Man stuff because I love him. I love his comics. Don't get up on my back about it. Thanks for watching My Messy Life with Dew. We've been talking about fake geeks and why that's ridiculous. And live long and prosper.